Welcome to Gemara Academy. In this class, we will learn Tosfos Dibra Maschal Bar Mehani class. Let's begin. Bar Mehani class, except for these three. At this point in the Gemara, we had said that when our mission at the beginning uses the word pater, it means pater or mutter. So the case was the ani did the whole malacha of achnasa or the whole malacha of etzah. The Mishnah said ani chayav balabayis pater. When it says balabayis pater, it means pater and mutter since he took no part in the malacha whatsoever. And so too when the balabayis did the whole malacha of etzah or the whole malacha of achnasa, and it says the balabayis chayav ani pater, it means that the ani is pater and it's pater and mutter since he took no part in the malacha whatsoever. To this the Gemara asked, how can we say that our Mishnah when it says pater means pater and mutter, but Shmuel taught that throughout the dinim of Shabbos, whenever it says pater, it means pater and usher, except for three cases: the case where a person trapped a deer, where a person trapped a snake, or when the person popped a boil. So how can we say that our Mishnah, when it says pater, it means pater and mutter, if Shmuel says that throughout the dinim of Shabbos, every pater means usher? So Tosfos is going to ask a question on this teaching of Shmuel that there are only three cases of Shabbos that are pater and mutter. Hiksha Rabbeinu Tam asked, Ha'ika, but there is Haditnan, this that it says in the Mishnah, but Perik Mamem Adlikin, and Perik Mamem Adlikin, which is a Perik in Masechta Shabbos, so it's a din of Shabbos. Hamachabes Ner, one who extinguishes a candle, Mipneishu Misyar, because he's frightened of robbers seeing his location Chulu. V'imbish Velachayl, and if he did it for the sick person, Sheyashin, that's asleep, pater, he's pater. Umuki Lam, we established this case, it's by a sick person that there's a sakana involved, there's a danger to his life. If so, who pater or mutter must be that when it says that it's pater, it means pater or mutter. Because there is nothing she'emed that stands b'fnei pikuach nefesh in the face of saving a life. So how could Shmuel say that there are only three cases in Masechta Shabbos, in the dinim of Shabbos, where it says pater, and it means pater or mutter? Here we have another one, when somebody extinguishes a candle for a sick person that there's a danger to his life involved. V'tiritz and Rabbeinu Tam answered, the ha milsa de pshitahi, that this matter, that it's mutter to extinguish the candle for the sick person that has a sakana to his life, is obvious that it's pater and mutter. Therefore Shmuel doesn't need to teach it to us. A case that's obviously mutter, Shmuel is not talking about. Like we answered nearby, the Gemara answered, how can we say that our mission is pater and mutter? How can we say that it's pater and mutter if Shmuel said there's only three cases of Shabbos that are pater and mutter? We answered that in our Mishnah, where the individual took no part of the malacha, it's obvious that it's pater and mutter, and Shmuel is not addressing cases that are obvious. Shmuel's only talking about cases where there's a thought to say that it's usher since the person did an action. Comes Shmuel and tells us, you're right. All of those times that it says pater and the person did an action, it's pater and usher, except for three. So our Mishnah, where it's obvious that it's mutter, Shmuel's not talking about. So that he doesn't need to teach us cases of pater where the person didn't do a ma'aseh because it's obvious. Now Tosfos is going to answer a question that could come up. We're saying that when it's obvious that it's mutter, for example, when there's a danger to a person's life, Shmuel doesn't teach that it's pater and mutter, but he teaches the case of trapping a snake, and there's a danger to the person's life. But Sad Nachash Mairi, and Sad Nachash is talking about the deleka sakana, that there is no danger to the person's life. Because he's able to save himself in another way. And the Mishum Tzaira, it's only because there is a pain to the person. There's Tsar, Shar, the Rabbanan made it mutter for him. Kamay b'mafis more so. Tosfos now will bring two proofs that the case of Tzad Nachash, when a person trapped a snake, is a case where there is no sakana there. The first proof is that the case of Tzad Nachash is in the same Mishnah as the case of Mafis Morsa, of popping a boil. And just like the case of Mafis Morsa, there is no danger to the person, so to Tzad Nachash, there's no danger to the person. And the second proof, and the same thing is proven in the beginning of Perek Sheminish Ratzim, that Tzad Nachash, that the case of trapping a snake, lav mishum sakana pater. It's not because that there's a danger that it's pater. What's the proof? The Hamuki Lakar Rav Shimon, we established that Mishnah that said Tzad Nachash is pater and mutter fits with the opinion of Rav Shimon. The Amr that said malacha shein tzarich legufa pater ela, a malacha that the person doesn't need the malacha itself is pater for it. So, for example, when the person trapped the snake, he's not doing it to get the snake; he's just doing it to protect himself. So, in such a case, it's malacha shein tzarich legufa. It doesn't need the malacha itself, and it's pater. Now, if the case of Tzad Nachash was a case where there's a danger to the person's life, it would fit with all opinions, not just Rav Shimon. From this that we say that it only fits with Rav Shimon, it shows that it's not a case that this is a kana involved. So here we answered our question. How can Shmuel say there's only three cases of pater and mutter if we have a fourth? We have a case of somebody extinguishing a candle for a sick person that has a sakana to his life. It says pater and it must mean pater and mutter. And we answered that since it's obvious that it's pater and mutter, Shmuel's not going to be talking about it. He's only referring to cases where there's a thought to say that it's usher. There he's going to tell us that there are three that are not. Now Tosfos asks another question. There's another question to the read. But there is Hadatani, this that it says in a brayso, in Perek Meisha, it's another Perek in Masechta Shabbos, and it relates to din of Shabbos. Rabbi Elazar's pater bekevelis of its leichish plaitin. Rabbi Elazar makes pater a woman who carries items that hold perfume in them. He makes her pater for carrying them on Shabbos. V'hu pater and mutter, and this must be pater and mutter. How do we know? Because in another brisa it says Hasam over there, Rabbi Lezer Eimer, the same exact Tana. He says, Yetza isha b'kevelis l'chatchila. A woman's allowed to carry this item that holds in its perfume. L'chatchila she could do it. So it must be when he says Rabbi Lezer pater b'kevelis, it must mean pater and mutter. So Tosfos now gives two answers to this question. V'tiritz re-answered b'shem Rabbeinu Avram, in the name of Rabbeinu Avram, or it's Rabbi Avram. The loy chashav Shmuel, that Shmuel is not counting elab turim hashlim Mishnah, nothing but the turim that are written in the Mishnah. From the cases of pater in the Mishnah, Shmuel says they're all pater and aser besides three. This case is not written in the Mishnah. If we look into the quote from Tosfos, it says the Tanya, it's from a brisa. Now, where do we find that those cases are all in the Mishnah? The tzad tzvi Mishnah hiba'irg, trapping a snake, trapping a deer is a Mishnah in Eirig. Hatzad nachash or mafas mursa, tzad nachash and mafas mursa. We said they're in the same Mishnah. We said that they're taught together earlier. So it's Mishnah hiba'idus. It's in a Mishnah in Eidus. Now Tosfos is going to give a second answer. Well, this farm the garsi perik b'ma'isha. There's another way of understanding the teaching of Rabbi Lezer of poiter b'kevelis of its sleicha shel plaitim. According to this farm that read in perik b'ma'isha that Aidi da Amar Rab Meir Chatas. Because Rab Meir said that this woman's chayav chatas, Amrle iu pater avalasar, so he told him it's pater avalasar. What does this mean? Pirish, meaning the Rabbi Lezer Kamer Rab Meir. Rabbi Lezer was telling Rab Meir, L'dvarecha nami, even according to you, that you say there's an issue with a woman carrying this item. It shouldn't be anything more than pater but aser. In other words, there's one of the ways of learning the Gemara over there is that Rabbi Lezer pater bekevelos of its sleicha shel plaitin is not Rabbi Lezer saying his own opinion, but rather Rabbi Lezer was responding to Rab Meir. Rab Meir said that this woman who carries an item on Shabbos that holds in a perfume is chayav achatas. Rabbi Lezer was telling Rab Meir, at the very most, even you should hold that it's just pater of aser. But Rabbi Lezer himself, that's not his opinion. He holds that it's mutter. And therefore, we're going to read the words pater to mean pater and aser. So we don't have another case. So lafi girsa zu, according to this girsa, asi shaper goes well because the pater in that brisa does not mean pater and mutter, but rather it means pater and aser. So to summarize, Tosfos basically asked that we find other cases where it's pater and mutter. So how does Shmuel say there's only three cases? And Tosfos' answers are, number one, it's either a case of pikuach nefesh, so it's obvious and there's no need to teach it. Number two, it's written in a brisa, not in a mishnah. And Shmuel's only referring to cases of the mishnais, not of the brises. And number three is that case where it says pater, it actually does mean pater and aser.